Last week, Marilyn Manson decided to give up on his legal battle and drop the lawsuit that he had filed against Evan Rachel Wood and Ilma Gore, which means he has to pay up big legal fees. Good thing he's been touring and doing festivals. Guys, buy his merch, come on. And I say he gave up not to throw shade, but because even though the judge had already basically gutted it, most of his claims all the way back last year, he was in the process of appealing it. You know, he was trying to say, look, this is not fair. Can we please get another ruling on this? I want this thing to go through, right? His attorney, Howard King, described the ruling as disappointing but not unexpected. You expected this? You expected to lose? Bro, what? The court telegraphed this outcome when it refused to consider the bombshell sworn declaration of former plaintiff Ashley Smithline. Former plaintiff because she dropped her lawsuit against Manson, and bombshell sworn declaration because she recanted the allegations from her lawsuit and said that Evan Rachel Wood made her do it. It's ironic that Manson accuses Evan of conspiracy, yet what is this, bro? What? There's no way that Howard King, Manson's attorney, really said this. I can't believe I never covered this or saw this before, right? He really tried to say that Ashley Smithline was going to be the winning piece. If only the judge let us use her sworn declaration, we could have had a chance. Excuse me? The same Ashley Smithline that just after submitting her sworn declaration publicly declared on a live stream to thousands of people that she wanted money for ketamine, and also declared that she's no longer American, that she's suddenly British.
And again, if anyone wants to send me ketamine, I'll send you my address.
And lied about being on TV shows for God knows what reason. Now, not only was Ashley Smithline not on Manson's side when Manson filed this lawsuit against Evan Rachel Wood, but her sworn declaration is complete BS. It's, oh my God, I can't believe it. Howard King, oof, bro, you really thought that was gonna help you? Cross-examination on Ashley Smithline, just 5 minutes would destroy your case entirely. If you're smart enough to rip off Marilyn Manson, I think you're smart enough to know that. I'm sorry, I just find this so ridiculous because not only was Manson ripped off in this, right? But a lot of his fans, a lot of people have been following this, I think we're a little bit brainwashed into thinking that he had a chance. Because if Ashley Smithline was supposed to be the silver bullet, y'all had nothing. I mean, to file a case of defamation alone anywhere really is gonna be super difficult to prove, right? But in the state of California, that's extremely difficult to win a case. So that alone, you have everything stacked against you, especially if you're a public figure. But if your silver bullet was something that wasn't even a factor when you filed the lawsuit, oh my God, Howard King, bro. I mean, is Howard King actually dumb? Or is he playing 4D chess because he's actually swindling Manson and getting a lot of his money? At the end of the day, you know, he's actually kind of winning. Maybe he's not so dumb. Because y'all gotta remember, not only has Marilyn Manson accepted to pay Evan Rachel Wood $326,956 for her legal fees, but also Ilma Gore $169,408, right? So on top of that, there are his own legal fees that he owes Howard King for the past 2 years of lawsuits, man. That's why he needs a tour, and that's why y'all gotta buy his merch, right? Manson, if you're smart, you're gonna put out some Christmas-themed merch. All right, jokes aside, let's get serious real quick. I want to reflect on this Marilyn Manson saga now that it's over. We'll see. But basically, I think it's so interesting that a lot of the internet seems to believe Marilyn Manson at face value, you know, and I think there's a lot of kind of brainwashing because, objectively speaking, he didn't have a great chance of winning, right? Just because of what I just stated, right? Defamation lawsuits, extremely difficult. But also, when I first read the lawsuit, I remember thinking a lot of this is kind of tacky. There's not really a lot of evidence. It's kind of just like speaking with a lot of conviction as if that's all true, but it's not. Like, it's just assumptions or just complete fabrication, hoping that it's true, right? Maybe in Discovery you find something, or relying on an iPad, or relying on something that you found. Essentially, that's kind of how it came off to me. Just like he can say that Evan Rachel Wood got together with a bunch of women and they all wanted to make up lies about him to ruin him. I, just the same, could say that he and his wife also have their own conspiracy of plotting, getting people together on the internet to make up lies against his accusers. So depending on where you stand, right? Objectively speaking, if you are pro Marilyn Manson, sure, you could just believe it because there's no affirmative proof that happened, but there's enough things that could sniff your nose in that way. Sure, I can go with that, right? But if you look at the other perspective, if you're anti-Manson or if you're pro-Manson, but you can look at the anti-Manson side, right? I could just the same way say that Marilyn Manson and his wife have been talking with pro Manson accounts directly, which is so sketchy. It is so weird that they just repeat talking points from Manson and his legal team and his wife especially. We know, I know that his wife has spoken to a lot of pro Manson accounts. Colonel Kurtz very especially. She literally told Colonel Kurtz to make that video against Brighton Gore, who is the sister of the woman that Manson is suing.
Brighton, who is fucking crazy, delusional nuts. She also was the person who found that hard evidence on that iPad showing that Ilma Gore did all that shady shit.
Right? The woman that provided him with the iPad, which was essentially the main reason he could sue both of them in the first place. It's so weird that Marilyn Manson's wife, for sure, 1000%, that she's so involved in this, right? So, like, I don't know if it's confusing, right? I feel like it's a little confusing, especially if you're not completely in the know with this. But basically, what Marilyn Manson's saying is that Evan Rachel Wood is a mastermind, which is really ridiculous, because if there's a mastermind, it would probably be Ilma Gore, because the examples of recruiting actually have Ilma Gore's name signed onto it. So, like, he's trying to pin it onto Evan Rachel Wood because he dated her, fiance, etc., and she's got the money. She's easy to hate on because she's got the face. People know her, right? And that's what people aren't nuanced about. They're so black and white about things. They don't care about the actual details. They're told what to believe. But anyways, so people are being told, the Marilyn Manson fans or supporters, whatever, Mansonites, I don't know what you want to call yourselves, they're being told that these women got together to make up lies, okay? What about the other alternative, right? So Manson's wife is literally talking to Colonel Kurtz and other Manson accounts for a fact. She had like a friendship with Brighton Gore and decided to end it and do a lot of weird Snoopy stuff that we're going to get into, by the way. Like, if you guys remember my previous video covering that, I reached out to her and she got back to me. And guess who didn't get back to me? Colonel Kurtz. This is so weird, okay, guys? Brighton Gore is the woman that supplied Marilyn Manson with this iPad that had this FBI letter and so many more things that helped his lawsuit. Like, without this iPad and without Brighton Gore, his lawsuit would have been nothing from the first place. Then again, he lost a lot of money through this lawsuit, so maybe I don't know how much she helped him, right? But what I mean to say is that he would have had no support at all. Because I think it's thanks to this iPad that Brighton Gore provided for Marilyn Manson that he could have had any of his talking points to begin with. You know what I mean? God, I don't know if this makes any fucking sense. Like, I'm trying to make sense to the average person that's not really that in the know of this whole lawsuit because it's so niche. Basically, if I can make a long ramble short, I feel like Marilyn Manson is seen as the winner in all this, even though he lost a lot of money, right? And a lot of time that he could have been creating music, which he's now doing again. I feel like he's seen as the winner through a lot of people, at least on social media, because so many more people are speaking his talking points, right? His talking points, and not just that, but disparaging and hyper criticizing the women and accusers. And that's not to say that they're perfect or above criticism just because they made serious accusations. I think that they can be criticized. I know, right? Crazy. But I don't think that these people standing up for Marilyn Manson have ever been fair and have ever criticized them even an ounce of the amount that they give to the women. I mean, just the point that I brought up several times in this video, right? Ashley Smithline. How come we never saw that bombshell of a declaration, as Manson's attorney calls it? Why was that never even read out loud by Colonel Kurtz? Marilyn Manson's YouTube representative. Why, Colonel Kurtz, why did you never read that bombshell? Because you also bring it up a lot. You also bring up like how this accuser recanted. How come you don't go through that? Why don't we dissect that sworn declaration? It's such a bombshell that would completely, make Marilyn Manson seem like he's an angel. Why don't we go through that? We should do a collaborative live stream again. I know it's been 2 years. That would be epic if we just did just one subject. It will be a lot shorter than the last one. Maybe like 30 minutes, an hour max. That even seems too long. I don't think it would take us that long. But we could go through that declaration and go point by point, because you seem to also think that it's such a bombshell. But that's what I mean, There's been so many points against Manson that make him look so terrible, but they've just been completely hidden or he's been protected. these accounts. There's so many accounts. Like you just search on YouTube or even on like an X or Twitter, and there's so many people like that speak for him. And the accusers don't really have that sort of support, right? Even channels that don't dedicate themselves to covering Marilyn Manson, when the subject has come up on their channels, I've noticed that there's a lot of bias towards him, except for Southern Law. Shout out to Southern Law. He's always remained completely unbiased. It's really incredible. But other than that channel, I feel like every channel that I've witnessed, it's just incredible how leaning they are towards Manson. And I feel like it's just a sentiment. Like I feel like there's a sort of underlying pressure, right? Because I'm not gonna lie, like after I did the debate with Colonel Kurtz, I felt like a lot of stress, like, oh my God, I had so much hate from Marilyn Manson supporters, So like if I can feel that vibe just from that, like it doesn't really make me want to cover it further, right? So like when people just read comments and see the sentiment online, either they don't want to cover it or they want to be careful the way they cover it. Because I just mentioned Southern Law, the YouTuber. He literally, when he says something that's like not towards Manson's side, because he's reading the law, the legal readings and everything, he'll say things that are not for Manson in a way that's like almost tiptoeing, being careful.
And maybe pressuring, although I think that's a stretch. Sorry, let's just keep it real here.
And I think it's funny because he doesn't do that when he reads things that are against Evan Rachel Wood. But I don't blame him for that, because the sentiments for Manson is just so strong on the internet. And I just want to have candid conversations about this whole thing if I can. So I hope that I can reach people that are pro Manson and we can have honest conversations. All right, I started recording this kind of late and it's 3 a.m, so I'll see if I add on to this video, but I honestly kind of like the way it flowed. Hopefully it flowed. And I want to cover so much more about this. So guys, to be continued. Colonel Kurtz, I'm gonna start a beef with you. No, but seriously guys, if you guys have questions about this, if this is confusing, I would love to expand, and elaborate, because this is such a layered and confusing just subject because there's so much to it. Anyways, don't forget to give me a like. I'll see you soon.